So welcome to today's conversation, social marketing for business. This group is open to anybody who would like to come on a regular basis. Thanks guys for coming out. I can't believe it's snowing again today. I was thinking we were done with that, but that's kind of crazy. And so what we're going to be talking about today is how SEO can be impacted and influenced by your social media and how you can go about doing that. So the conversation will be a little bit about SEO on some rudimentary levels, but then how social media is going to help you with achieving your goals to scoring higher on the search engines. Our group meets the third Friday of every month, so you can just put that on your Outlook calendar and just say every third Friday. It's very easy to do. It's free, it's open. Our meetup group is meetup.com/social marketing, so you can go there to get the details about the event. And when we put together this group, we thought what a neat idea to have a monthly conversation with business people about what they're doing, what best practices they're employing, what questions they have, what's changing out there in the world, and just having a real good dialogue together about how social media can influence what you're doing out there. And our focus for this group is on the return on investment. We're all so busy today that I don't think anybody has time to just do social media because they like to or because the heck of it, right? We're kind of all here to say, how can we generate returns from participating in these activities to build more business? We look at the activities, we're going to share tips, we're going to share ideas about different things. We're building a database. Dale Honig is creating videos of each event, and we're going to start publishing those the following week so that if you missed the event, you want to see what was talked about, or you want to catch up, you can go to the blog and take a look at that. We're going to send out an e-newsletter the week after and say here's the post and here's this, and people can just kind of catch up and look at different things. There's also a discussion forum at the meetup group where we're going to really start encouraging everybody to say, hey, how would I do this? How would I do that? And just keep the discussion going throughout the month, and then we'll take those topics and use them in the meeting for ideas about what people are interested in and what we should talk about. Social media is nearly endless, right? You could just do it 25 hours a day and probably not get done following everything that you'd want to follow, looking at everything you'd want to look at, posting everything you'd want to post. And so kind of taking something that can be very overwhelming and turning it into, hey, here's a system for how I'm going to do this, and this is how I'm going to measure my results, is really what our goal is for the group. You might already be doing these things, but to say, let's get a t-shirt, let's take a picture, let's make a video, let's interview a couple of the employees, let's tweet about it, let's put it up on Facebook, let's put a video on YouTube, let's put some pictures up on Flickr. And now you're saying, wow, here's how we're building community around our brand instead of just trying to sell our product or service out there in the world. And that's kind of what this is all about. It's all about how are we building engagement, how are we bringing people to our brand instead of trying to push stuff out to people. What we like to do is to have a little bit of a discussion in the beginning to just talk about how has social media changed what's going on out there in the world. And I'm going to say, how has the world created a need for social media is probably more what it is. Things don't exist without people saying, hey, I want to use them, right? So, you know, we've talked a lot about the change in the control of the message of your brand and who's influencing that, and that the control is now passed on to the general audience out there to say what they're going to say about you. And so you've got to guide and influence that. We've talked about building communities. We've talked about brand transparency and how businesses need to kind of live in a place where, you know, things need to be transparent out there in the world. New renaissance period of communications. You know, somebody asked me the other day, wow, when did all this change? And I think since the beginning of humankind, this has been changing. It's just the technology has now allowed us to all have access to any information we want right here in our pocket on our cell phones, where we can say, what do I want to know? And it's available. We've got a service where I can get your email and I can send it in, and it will tell me what stores you shop at, what social media you participate in, da-da-da-da-da. All this information is available today. And so we're at a time where one-to-one communications is very, very important. The need for businesses to create media. You know, gosh, my job is selling real estate. Now I've got a blog, and I've got to tweet, and I've got to make videos, and I have to take pictures, and I have to be on Facebook, and so that's a fundamental change. And then the last one is kind of everything's on demand. We want it now. We want it immediately. I can pull out my phone and I can text to somebody, and I almost look at that phone. This fascinates me, and think that they're going to go, oh, okay, I'll text him back this minute. Isn't that crazy? But we expect it to happen, kind of. And more and more and more, it does. I'm probably kind of old-fashioned with all of this. It amazes me when it does happen. It's, wow, really? Okay, this is how it goes. And so, you know, to start our conversation today, I wanted to kind of get an idea about how everybody communicates out there, right? So, texting back and forth, or emailing back and forth, or picking up the telephone back and forth. What's funny, what goes through my mind is, it used to be that we would write probably letters back and forth, right? You know, who here has a correspondence going by mail right now with anybody? Nobody. So how do you guys like to communicate? Who in here would rather somebody pick up the phone and call them if they have something to talk about? Okay? Who in here would rather get an email if somebody has something to tell you? All right, I'm going to say that's pretty close. Who in here would rather just get a text if somebody has something to tell you? Okay, probably 10, 15 people. What occurred to me is there's sometimes that I might like somebody to call me, okay? What if we're having a conversation and there's a chance that we don't know each other too well, and that there's something that's going wrong in the conversation, or somebody's feelings might get hurt, or something might go bad, would you still rather get an email from that person and communicate that way? So you've got something that's an issue, and there's an email exchange starting to happen, right?
Yeah, it's very easy to let the emotions sit there for a moment after you write it before you send it.
Ah, so this is another point that I wasn't even considering. If I send it in an email, it is there forever. And that person can read that, and that person can say, you know what, you said this. And I did. Right? So it's out there, and it's there, and if it's not nice. So I've read something, and I'm gonna have these percentages mixed up. But when I'm talking to somebody, right, 80% of what I'm saying is how I look, right? And I think another like 13% of what I'm saying is how I sound. And then the last 7% of what we're saying of what we're communicating is what we're actually saying, the words that are coming out of our mouth. So when you strip out 93% of the communication from a message, all you've got is that last 7%, and that leaves a lot to interpret on somebody's end. They might think that you're being a smart ass when you're just trying to make a comment. And it gets very difficult to write an email as things escalate because, ooh, I don't want to say, how could they perceive this?
The other advantage with the email is you can go ahead and do it and send it, and if you are in a positive mode, that's great. You pick up the phone, you may not get a hold of that person for another day. So if you send them the email, they can look at the timestamp and know that you responded immediately.
So there you go, it's an immediate response, and I've had people maybe send me an email asking me a serious question about something that I didn't want them to misinterpret and say, hey, I got your email, love to talk to you about this, let me know when we can chat. Maybe, you know? And so I think that's an okay idea. Those people that like to get a text, you know, hey, I'm texting and that sort of thing. Is that for every circumstance that you would prefer to get a text, or is it mostly a touch base, hey, I'm at Starbucks, are you going to be here soon kind of a thing, or is it business? Yeah, like, hey, I heard you're upset with me, what's wrong, question mark. And I mean, you can interpret that a lot of ways. You know, I could say, what's wrong? Or I can say, what's wrong? And how do you tell? You know, from a text or an email or whatever, huh?